Welcome to our second update for Renter Fruit Tree Experience for this year. This one's going to take us through the months of March, April and May, the spring. We're going to just explain what we do throughout those periods and how the orchard changes, and it's exciting time with the blossom and the fruit starting to form on the trees, so enjoy. It's early spring and the first tractor job of the year. So we're out in the orchard with our orchard tractor and the flail mower on the back. This basically works by that centre drum you can see there spins around very fast, and the hammer blades on it just there, they swing round and they hit and cut up the prunings and the grass and basically anything that gets in its way. It's currently in its folded up position, so when it's working it folds down flat onto the ground to chop up everything that's on the ground. So we're just, the prunings we left over winter here, they're all sort of left in the centre of the row, ready to be chopped up with the mower, so they're easily accessible. If I just find it here, so the rabbits gnaw on the branches over winter. It's probably their favourite thing to eat. So we leave them all out and we wait until the spring to do this mulching job. Because if we take a look at the trunk here, it doesn't have any rabbit damage on it. But if we were to mulch those prunings too early, the rabbits would gnaw the bark off around the bottom of the tree and what's called girdle the tree, which kills all the cambium layer around the outside, which is the living part of the tree, and would kill it. Here we can see, this is a row that's been done. So you've got all the prunings mulched up into small little pieces. They'll then, over the course of the season, get mulched up more and more. And then over the year, they'll put nutrients back into the soil for the apple trees to use to produce apples again. Here you can see it in its working position. If you look carefully, you can see bits sort of flying out the back, the little chopped up bits of prunings. So this sort of angle shows why we need a narrow orchard tractor going up and down the rows. Any big tractor bigger than what we've got there would not fit and damage the trees. We do each row twice just to chop them up finer. As spring progresses, the orchard comes into beautiful bloom. We've included a bit of the blossom for the different types of trees, just for those who didn't make it to our blossom weekend. But we had a fantastic weekend of the Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and it was wall-to-wall sunny, which we couldn't have wished for more, and it was lovely to see everybody throughout the weekend and to show everyone around the orchard in blossom. These are the cherry blossom. They were absolutely lined this year, each branch, as you can see. It's stunning. And we had fantastic weather throughout the blossom period. These are the plums, which are the first to come into blossom. So we basically had sunshine through beginning of April through to May as now. And everything was slightly further forward than we expected this year because of the hot sunny weather. We are now in May, early May, and as you can see on screen, we have little apples forming. So we'll just go through the different crops and to see all the little fruitlets forming on the trees. This shows pollination was successful and a lot of the blossoms have been pollinated. So on this is a John O'Gara red tree, so we've got lots of little small apples formed. They're all progressing nicely and the orchard looks so different, to the start of the spring now, full of life and greenery. These are our Victoria plums. As you can see, again, lots of plums on the branches. These are slightly further forwards, being as they blossom slightly earlier, so their life cycle is slightly ahead of the apples. But lots of plums on all the branches, which is an excellent sign at this stage. Finally, we've got our cherries. This is the first year we've actually started to rent them out. There's a nice crop on these. They have been slightly affected by there was some late cold nights which have made some not sort of fill up as they should, but there's a lovely crop on there. You can see here we've netted them so to stop the birds getting in, and we'll soon cover them for rain so that they don't split later on in the season. Here you can see with this drone footage, we're out with our tractor mounted orchard air sprayer. This basically has a fan on the back and blows out a fine mist into the canopy of the trees that lands on the leaves. So here we're putting on a seaweed extract which has numerous benefits to the tree, providing different nutrients, but here particularly to keep the fruit that's set on the trees and can keep it healthy. We're also putting on a fungicide for powdery mildew, as it's such a dry year that powdery mildew loves dry conditions. So to prevent that from becoming a problem, we're applying that this year. You'll also see there's a sort of line underneath where the tractor's driving. You can see it here in the cherries too. We ran a mole drainer down each row. As it was so wet over winter, it's hard to remember that now. But basically to avoid any waterlogged soils going forwards. You can see here the sprayer gets up underneath the cherry covers now that they're on. And we always try and do this in the evening when the wind's dropped or when the wind's at its lowest, just to prevent any drift and to make sure the products get onto all the trees and they're effective. We're now at the end of May, and you can see in the orchard the apples are increasing in size. These are the Discovery, so they have a nice crop on them, not too many, not too few, which is excellent. But one of the jobs we have to do with, well, certainly the John o' Gred and the different other varieties, is apple thinning. This is where you see here there's too many apples on that branch. It's a small little branch and it can't support the weight of all those apples once they reach full size. So what we do is we snip off sort of the smallest weird shaped ones with damage, and that allows then the branch to support the weight and each apple to form its full size and become nice juicy fruit. Here we've got one with just a little mark on, so that's another good example to take that off and let those other two apples increase in size. And again here there's too many on that branch, so we just go through and we take off some of the apples. Here you can see the two apples that we've thinned off, and we've actually taken these off due to hail damage. So you can see there's a small little dimple in there and then one on the other apple as well. Unfortunately we had a little bit of hail in that very heavy storm at the end of May, beginning of June, and it has affected some of the apples, but we're quite lucky in that we only caught the very edge of it, so we didn't get the big problematic hailstones that would have sort of ripped the skin and caused real problems. So yeah, we've taken a few of those off, and hopefully we don't get any more, because yeah, hail's not good for fruit. We've just got a clip here of our early variety cherries now. They're probably a week or so away from being ready, so yeah, I just thought I'd get a clip of these as at the end of this update to see where we're up to. The other varieties are still green, but the earliest two varieties are now starting to turn red, so yeah, won't be long before we have some cherries on the stool, and then it also won't be long before our cherry renters have cherries at the beginning of July. Finally, we are very excited to share with you that we are planting a vineyard. So the 16th of May this was, we've planted 9,000 vines over 2 hectares. Here it's on a south-facing slope with a chalky flint clay soil, which we've had tested and suits the vines very well and should make some good quality wine. You can see here the planting machine, it drags sort of a deep U-shaped tine through the ground with a wheel behind that the vines are loaded into, and then they're planted in the ground. They're only tiny little stubs at this point. but then, well, they've already started growing now over the back end of May, so we've got little green shoots on them, which is excellent. We've planted Chardonnay, Pinot Noir Precoce and Pinot Gris. So this should allow us to make a variety of different wines, still and sparkling, dependent on the year and the weather. So it gives us a full range. But yeah, we just thought I'd add that in at the end. I hope you've enjoyed this update. Lots to show. It's a busy period on the farm. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you soon.